Hello and welcome to your English news broadcast live on ERi-TV. It's exactly 10:30 p.m. on Eritrea's local time from our headquarters at Asmara with your domestic and international news in brief. I'm Zahra Badouri, but first we'll begin with your major headlines for this broadcast. Federation of the National Association of Women in Businesses Summit. Effort to develop teaching and learning process and more on your domestic. On your international, Lavrov blames West for food crisis. And on COVID in China, millions in lockdown in Wuhan after 4 cases. Welcome to your domestic in brief. COMESA, Federation of National Association of Women in Businesses in the Horn of Africa Summit was conducted today, 28th July, at the National Confederation of Eritrean Workers Hall here in the capital, Asmara, in which representatives of Eritrea, Somalia, and Djibouti took part. Addressing the summit, Mr. Arafai Berhe, Minister of Agriculture, indicating that the opportunity created has significantly contributed in the economic development of women in particular and that of society in general, said that if organized will create opportunity for exchanging experiences among countries. Speaking at the occasion, Mrs. Zafra Work Fasahiya, Director of Foreign Trade and the Ministry of Trade and Industry, indicating that at present 50% of the population of the state of Eritrea are women, said that right after independence, the Eritrean government issued labor proclamation to protect women employees from all forms of discrimination and ratified 7 core conventions of the International Labour Organization to secure working conditions and safeguarding the equal treatment of women. The participants also observed exhibition of the agricultural products and handicrafts organized by Eritrean women agricultural experts. The COMESA Federation of Women in Businesses comprises 21 countries, including Eritrea, Somalia, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Sudan from the Horn of Africa. The Ministry of Education reported that a strong effort is being exerted to develop teaching and learning process. Mr. Girmay Gabrihuat, Director of Human Resources Development at the Ministry of Education, said that Ministry is exerting effort to ensure equitable expansion of educational facilities, expanding preschools, providing due to attention to citizens leading nomadic life, providing free school opportunity to all citizens, producing committed and competent teachers, as well as ensuring quality education. Mr. Girmay went on to say that on the basis of educational policy and strategy from 1991 to the year 2022, the number of preschools has increased by 39.4%, elementary schools by 175.1%, junior schools by 564.6%, and secondary schools by 336%. Regarding teachers, Mr. Girmay said that teachers in preschool have increased by 746.3%, in elementary schools by 194.1%, in junior schools by 573.1%, and in secondary schools by 353%, indicating that over 21 teachers are actively providing educational services across the country. Mr. Girmay said that out of them, 32.8 are graduatees in a certificate, 25.9% in diploma, and 14.8% in first degree and above. Mr. Girmay also said that strong effort is being exerted to develop the capacity of teachers in cooperation with the Asmara College of Education. Representatives of Eritrean community in Kuwait that are here to observe firsthand the development activities in their homeland conducted various activities. Among the activities the nationals conducted included planting tree seedlings at the Asmara Eritrea Cemetery and blood donation at the National Blood Transfusion Services, indicating that the coming of the nationals in group attests to their attachment with their homeland. Mr. Salim Safi, chairman of the Eritrean community in Kuwait, the tree seedlings they planted at the Eritrea Cemetery has deep meanings. Mr. Mahari Abraham, head of the blood donation service at the National Blood Transfusion Service, commanding the initiative, the nationals from Kuwait called on others to follow the noble example. Proceeding with your domestic, the National Union of Eritrean Women Branch in Ansaba region conducted activity assessment meeting of the first half of the year 2022, as well as on the implementation of the program for the coming 6 months. At the meeting, it was reported that a reorganization of government employees has been conducted, and elections of board members has been also held. Beehives and financial contribution has been extended to 20 members with a view to develop their socioeconomic capacity, and a training program on weaving, tailoring, computer technology has also been organized to 55 women in Karan City. Speaking at the event, Mr. Saleh Ibrahim, head of the political affairs of the PFDJ in the region, gave briefings on the objective situation in the homeland and called for reinforced participation and the national affairs. The participants on their part called for organizing training programs with a view to develop the overall capacity of women. In the same vein, the National Union of Eritrean Women Branch in the region organized training to 33 of its members on administrational communication, conflict resolution, project management, reporting and planning, as well as bookkeeping. Speaking at the occasion, Mrs. Amna Hassan, head of the union branch in the region, called on the trainees to apply the training they were provided in improving their livelihoods. On your final domestic and health report, 15 patients have been diagnosed positive for COVID-19 in tests carried out today at testing stations in the central region. On the other hand, 9 patients who have been receiving medical treatment in hospitals in the central region have recovered fully and have been discharged from these facilities. The total number of recovered patients has accordingly increased to 9,784, while the number of deaths stands 103. The total number of confirmed cases in the country to date has increased to 9,995. Ministry of Health, Asmara, 28 July 2022. Stay tuned for more with your global report after this short break. And on your international, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said Western countries are to blame for the soaring global food price and fuel crisis whilst on trip to Ethiopia as part of the 6-day African tour. He met Ethiopian officials and representatives of the diplomatic corps. In his remark to diplomats on Wednesday, he said the problem with the international food market started at the beginning of the pandemic and predated the Ukraine war. He said Western governments used trillions of dollars to buy food without any substantial reason. In quotations, yes, the situation in Ukraine did additionally affect the food market, but not because of the Russian operation, rather due to absolutely inadequate reaction of the West, which announced sanctions undermining the availability of food in the market, he said, unquote. Mr. Lavrov added that the increase of the price of fertilizers was caused by what he calls the reckless Western policy of this so-called green transition, which he said discriminates the classic energy sources. African imports 40% of its wheat from Ukraine, however, that was disrupted because of the Russian-Ukraine war. However, the signing of a deal to export grains has brought hope that those disruptions could be resolved very soon. On your final report, almost 1 million people in a suburb of Wuhan, China's central city, where the coronavirus was first recorded, have been placed under lockdown. Jiangxia district residents have been ordered to stay inside their homes or compounds for 3 days after 4 asymptomatic COVID cases were detected. China follows a zero-COVID strategy, however, including mass testing, strict isolation rules, and local lockdowns. This has resulted in far fewer deaths than in many other countries around the world, but the strategy in facing growing oppositions as people and businesses continue to face the strain of restrictions. In Wuhan, a city of 12 million people, regular testing uncovered 2 asymptomatic cases 2 days ago. 2 more cases were found through contact tracing, and shortly after the lockdown order was issued, Wuhan became known around the world in early 2022 as the first place scientists detected the new coronavirus and the first city to be put under harsh restrictive measures. At the time, the wider world was shocked by the strict lockdown, but many cities and countries were soon forced to impose their own similar measures. Later, China became known as a COVID success story, with restrictions lifted much earlier than in many other countries. However, China has seen more than 2.2 million cases and 14,720 deaths since the pandemic began in the year 2019. According to America's Johns Hopkins University, that report is. Dear viewers, that is all for now with your domestic and international news in brief. Until we are back with some more news, stay and enjoy the rest of our programs. But until then, these were your major headlines for this broadcast in review. Federation of National Association of Women in Businesses Summit held today, 28 July. Effort to develop teaching and learning process and more on your domestic. And on your international, Sergei Lavrov blames West for food crisis. And on COVID in China, millions in lockdown in Wuhan after 4 cases and 2 asymptomatic cases detected. That is all for now, dear viewers. Thanks for watching once more and have